What's going on YouTube? Coach John back again, repping Beyond the Iron. Got the red shirt, looking fresh, brand new. Hope you guys are all doing well. Thank you for stopping by and watching the video. This one is going to be a meal prep talk, because I don't know if you can see it, just finished meal prepping. It is Sunday. So with that said, this video is definitely tailored leaning more towards just the overall health aspect of, fitness and getting in better shape and all that, as opposed to just building muscle and losing fat, but I'll tie it into that as well. You've already seen the title. We are talking about my experience in cutting caffeine, mainly from coffee, pre-workout, any of that high stimulant type of stuff, for about 30 days now, roughly a month, and my experience with it, why I did it, why I think others can benefit from it, as I know from anecdotal experience, personal experience, people that I know doing the same, and just the overall kind of foundational principle behind it. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Now, for caffeine wise, I think it's important to note that I have a background of, ever since I was 17, 18, 19 years old, even sooner actually, I would say 16, even 15 years old, early in high school, I was using pre-workout powders quite a bit. And it's funny because the pre-workout powders at the time would tell you, do not use this unless you're 18 years or older. Of course, I wasn't a big fan of following rules, as I still am not a big fan of following rules. So of course, I saw an opportunity to get a boost in my performance at the gym through a pre-workout supplement. And so that is what I did. I remember taking my first pre-workout supplement. It was the BSN Explode. I don't even think 2.0 was out at the time. It was just BSN Explode, okay? I remember taking it for the first time. I had never drank coffee before. I never really drank any energy drinks or anything, and I was wired. I had razor sharp tunnel vision type of focus. I went to the gym. I did like a 2-hour workout, and I felt like I could have gone 2 more hours, right? So that was all great. I figured, hey, I am not going back. I'm using this all the time, every workout, to get that edge. And now, as we all know, that doesn't last forever. In fact, it doesn't really last very long at all. Maybe a couple times later, I felt a roughly similar effect, and then it dissipated over time. And I found myself, as many people in the fitness industry do, many people that are into working out find themselves doing, which is taking pre-workout every single workout, right? Before every workout, you need to take pre-workout. And this is the same with coffee. Now, I was never a big coffee drinker until about maybe 4 years ago, or even 3 years ago, I'd say. I actually started drinking coffee. Now, I never liked the taste of coffee. This is why I drink it black, because I don't see the benefit of putting things in it, as it doesn't taste any better to me. But also, I just used it as another alternative to get some caffeine in, to power me up throughout the day. I started working a lot of hours, and I just realized that, hey, I was getting a good boost, some good mental focus, same kind of deal. And so I started drinking coffee, though it was very on and off throughout the years. I was never a very serious coffee drinker. But with that said, I did find myself for the last 1 to 2 years consuming it a lot more frequently. On top of that, I was consuming coffee and pre-workout, or sometimes multiple coffees, sometimes just pre-workout, sometimes a combination of the two. I've tried and had energy drinks throughout this time as well. I interchanged my caffeine sources between pre-workout, coffee, energy drinks, caffeine pills, all the above. I used to be insanely tolerant to caffeine. I would have a pre-workout with 400 milligrams of caffeine, and I would take it straight to the dome, no problem, barely feel anything, until one day I actually overdosed on caffeine, and ever since then, my tolerance went way back, just because I started weaning off of it very quickly after that, as it was a pretty scary experience. Now, all this is to say, we find ourselves today, or a month ago. I started consuming caffeine again, drinking coffee regularly, and I started drinking 2 cups of coffee a day. And I found that I needed that coffee, or at least I felt like I needed that coffee, right? And sometimes I would take it before the workouts, okay? Sometimes I would take pre-workout throughout the day to focus better on my work and so on. I started to realize that it became a crutch. And until I had that coffee, I didn't really want to do anything. So if I started work at 5 a.m., I needed to get that coffee up and running before 5 a.m. If I started at 8, I wasn't doing anything until 8, until I had that coffee in my system. So obviously, this became very apparent to me that I was becoming very reliant on caffeine. I also noticed that my sleep schedule, my sleep habits were starting to fall off, and I felt like I was making up for it more so with increased caffeine intake. Does this sound familiar familiar? It should, because the amount of people I know that do the same thing is vast, okay? It is more than not. The amount of people I speak to that used to go to Orange Theory or go to the gym, they're all on less sleep, more caffeine intake. And so I decided, as there was a period of time where I went caffeine free for a long time, I was still working out early in the morning and working, you know, nearly 80 hours a week, and I didn't even use caffeine at this time. And I found that rather curious, because I said, well, you know, obviously if I was able to do that, why am I not able to do it now where I'm working full-time from home? I have the luxury of working from here or wherever I want to work from, and yet I find myself being dependent on the caffeine. So all of that basically breaks down to saying I decided I was going to cut it, and that is cut it cold turkey, meaning no more coffee at all. Now, I do have teas here and there. I have chai tea at times, sometimes black tea, but it's not the same, right? This is not a similar caffeine stimulation with those types of caffeine sources, very small caffeine. I don't feel any effects from it, but I went from essentially having 2 cups of coffee to sometimes 3 a day, that's when it was getting really bad, to just none. And here's what I experienced. Over the first 4 days, I actually felt terrible. In fact, the first day after not having any coffee, the next morning when I woke up, I felt like a train hit me. I felt so exhausted and tired, even though I just had quite a bit of sleep. I went to the gym, half-assed workout, didn't enjoy it, very unproductive, went home early, and the rest of that day was tough as well. And it became very clear to me that it was because I cut out the caffeine and I was experiencing some withdrawal. Now, at the same time as this, I got some other people that I knew. I kind of broadcasted that I was doing this on my social media, on my Instagram, which, by the way, if you don't follow, make sure you give me a follow here. I broadcasted it out there so other people decided to message me about it and inquire about it themselves, and I convinced some of them to follow the same route. Now, a lot of them are still back to drinking coffee, but their goal for them was to last about a week's time. That was my goal as well. Safe to say, there's a reason it's been an extra 3 since then, and that's because I found now that my energy levels actually sustain longer. My sleep is better than it's been in a very, very long time. My workout performance has not decreased whatsoever, which is a huge issue or concern that people have when giving up coffee. They think that their productivity is going to slow down, they're not going to make as much progress in the gym, all these other things, and they start to convince themselves that they need caffeine and coffee. And this is where it becomes a huge issue, because any moment where you develop a crutch or a need for something external to give you energy, focus, clarity, you know, whatever the performance, whatever the case is, then you've got a problem. And I started to recognize that problem as my baseline energy levels throughout the day were lower until I had caffeine and coffee just to bring it back up to normal levels. And that's what happens. After you give up the caffeine, through the other people that did the same as me and myself, it's clear that yes, after a few days post giving it up, you're not going to feel very good. But what happens is when your energy levels finally come back up to their natural amount and you're working out, you're being active, you're exercising, right? You're having tea, plenty of water, good nutrition, good sleep, you actually notice that your natural energy levels have not only a natural higher baseline than when you're drinking caffeine, but they've got massive potential over the synthetic energy that you're getting from coffee. So what do I mean by this? At the end of a very long day these days, I feel tired, I feel exhausted, but I can still keep going. I can push through it much easier. Whereas before, that crash also kind of coincided with the crash of the caffeine, and I found it way too difficult to overpower through willpower that urge to not want to do anything, to not want to move and just go to sleep or be unproductive. It's funny because ever since giving up caffeine, my productivity has steadily increased. My workout performance has been amazing. I felt great. I've just deloaded, my energy levels through the roof. My sleep is on point, better than it's been in a very long time. And I think that cutting caffeine for those last 30 days has to do with it quite a bit. Now, the question is, do I plan on cutting it forever? And the answer is no. However, I don't see the need to go back to it. It's still, I'm not planning on another 30 days or another 60. I'm just going until I feel like maybe one day I need it. And sometimes I wake up like I did today and I think, okay, today I'm gonna have that coffee, but I understand so much and I'm so aware now of how little I actually need it and how little and what little it actually does for me, that it's actually hard for me to go and make the coffee and drink it. I resort to tea, drinking water, and just starting up on some work or going to the gym. And once I'm in the rhythm, I find that my energy levels come all the way back, and again, I can last longer with them. So that's my experience of cutting caffeine for the last 30 days. I'm likely gonna stay off of caffeine for a very long time, maybe forever. That's likely the goal, or forever being as long as possible. I will still drink it whenever I feel I actually need it. Let's say I've got something massive that's coming up and I truly don't have the energy for it. I may drink a coffee or an espresso right then and there, but I'm just gonna make sure that if I do have it, it is very far and few in between in terms of days, so that I don't build the habit and the tolerance back up of having it. As with pre-workouts, same deal there. I do not have any caffeine before my workouts, even though I work out at 5 a.m. in the morning or 7 a.m. most days, and some of those days I feel very tired. Once I get in that gym and I get going, I find that it feels like I had a natural energy creation, or I just had natural pre-workout running through my veins as it is. You shouldn't need an external source to create your energy for you. If you do, you're probably not sleeping enough, you're not eating right, something's off, and you've built a crutch on something that isn't actually helping you at all. So I invite you to try giving up caffeine, whether it's cold turkey or weaning off of it, and you will be surprised, as many others have been and myself were, that you actually don't not only need it, but you probably don't even want it. So that's a little topic for you guys today. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Hit the like button. I know there's probably gonna be some dislikes because, you know, the coffee lover is gonna come out and think that it's such an amazing thing. And that's another thing, a lot of people are gonna talk about the great benefits. You know, if you drink 1 cup of coffee, it's supposed to help you live longer and all these other things. And obviously that's based off evidence on one side. There can be and is plenty of evidence on the other side that shows that actually drinking coffee makes no difference to your health if you have 1 cup a day. However, it increases likelihood of you having multiple cups later on down the line. Next thing you know, you're having 400 plus milligrams of caffeine a day. That so-called healthy habit that you wanted to start off with turns into one that's not so healthy. So people that think that coffee is the greatest and they love that justification of, oh, I read this study or this blog that says that 1 cup of coffee is great a day. Just remember, one study or even a few studies is telling one side of the story. There's always another, and it's usually the overlooked side that leans more towards the truth, okay? So with that said, I wouldn't justify saying that you need coffee every day, and in case you don't believe me, I definitely recommend that you try it out for yourself. Once you get over the withdrawal effects that are inevitable if you've been a regular coffee drinker, then you're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about. That's it, guys. I wanted to make this video to let you know about that, and I think it could help some, if not a lot of you out there. Also to help save you money on both coffee and pre-workout, as pre-workout is so unnecessary, it's hilarious. Though it can of course give you a boost in the moment, that's only if you use it every once in a while, multiple times a week, and you're on pace to building that terrible habit. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button again if you did, and don't forget to share it with your friends or some huge coffee addicts that you find maybe, and I think it presents an interesting argument in this regard. Again, before you knock it, try it. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching as always. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll catch you in the next one. As you know, I'm dropping them every single week. I'm out.